I said to you before we started, I said, get your shit together, Cass.
Let's get a guy in his pants. I look insane, but I talk sense.
It's not the staircase that is dangerous. It is me. I kid you not, she laughed in my face.
No. Come on, you know me better than that.
And it was so tender and started to go a little purple.
Now that, in itself, I'm out.
Since it's going to be Valentine's Day soon, do you want to give you a little 2 cents about that?
It's shit, don't bother. Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the podcast. That is 5 weeks on the go. Last week we had our 1 month anniversary.
Yay! 1 month.
Which we're very happy about. And I did check back on the stats for week 3. And I think we had 17 listens, which nice. I'm still very chuffed about because in 3 podcasts, that's almost 100 people or 100 listens.
I know, all of those people.
So thank you to our audience again for sticking with us and being here to listen to our ravings and rantings.
Yeah, we're practically all friends and family now, so you can't get rid of us.
Have we had any emails?
No.
Have you checked?
Yes, I did actually. I did.
I don't. You know I don't. I'm terrible. I always forget. I check my own email, but I don't check anybody else's. Well, that's a shame, guys, because the software we use we don't pay for. I don't even know if we know whether or not people have actually listened all the way through to the podcast, so you might have missed it. We do have an email address, so you can email us, even if it's to tell us that we're shit. We would welcome any sort of email. Khadija, what is the email address?
Well, the email address is chickchatpodcast@outlook.com, and you can catch us on that. Like Cass said, I know we always say email us if you think we're rubbish, but no, if you think we're great, or you like what we talk about, you like the humour, the format, or the banter, or if you just like popping us on when you're having a cup of tea or coming back from work and you think, oh, I'll just stick those 2 crazy women on whilst I'm driving home, that's fantastic too.
Or Facebookers.
Yeah, we like that.
Yeah, Facebookers as well, because I do check that, and I also upload links to the podcast, so you don't just have to go onto our Tumblr account, you can come to Facebook. There are pictures of us on there.
And that's facebook.com/letuschickchat.
It is indeed. Now that we've got that out of the way with, we will start off with my horrendous week of illness.
Brace yourselves, people.
I went to the doctor because I get an inflammation in my ribs, and this was diagnosed a couple of years ago, and it kind of feels like you're having some kind of stroke or heart attack because it's literally the inflammation in between you. So it's the cartilage in between your ribs, almost like pulsating, and it pushes your ribs apart. It really hurts. And they gave me a range of different painkillers when I initially was diagnosed with it. I had a couple of days off work because it felt like I'd been battered in the ribs. And since then I've had a couple of attacks of it. It only lasts a couple of days. Take all the painkillers, anti-inflammatories and all of that, and it clears up and goes away. So I've had to change doctors because I moved house. So I was out of my old doctor's postcode area. Go to the doctor. Well, first of all, I rang up for an appointment, and the receptionist on the other end, who thinks she's a fucking doctor.
We love them, don't we?
What happens is I can barely breathe because I can't breathe in. I can't move my ribs because of the inflammation. So I'm like panting down the phone like some crazy crank caller. And she's like, oh, well, you can come tomorrow trying to get an appointment. And I said, no, this isn't a tomorrow thing. This is a right now thing.
Yeah, I might not be alive till tomorrow. Sort me out.
Come on, hit me up. She said, oh, we'll get the doctors to give you a call back. This was at 3 p.m. because I just finished work. And it gets to 5 o'clock, no fucking phone call. And of course, they're shut after 5. So I dosed myself up with over-the-counter painkillers, which just knocked me straight out because it's Paramol and you're supposed to take 2 every 4 to 6 hours. And I think in a 6-hour period I took 10.
Shit, Cass, you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, I know, but the pain was fucking ridiculous. So I went to the doctor the next day and he said, oh, I don't think it's rib inflammation. It sounds like bruised ribs. And I said, well, there's no bruising there and I haven't been hit with anything. I said, look, just give me the painkillers.
Give me the drugs and let me go on my way.
Obviously, I was a little bit more polite than that, and I was also still in a lot of pain. So I'd gone into work, I'd left work, I had to go to this appointment. And he said to me, he was like, no. I think just Nurofen and what else have you been taking? I was like, Paramol. He said, yeah, just take some more. I said, yeah, but I'm taking like 10 at a time. Like this isn't good. No. He said, I don't think it's the costochondritis. I think it might be a blood clot. And I was like, you fucking joking? Just give me the pain. It's obviously not a blood clot. So then I had to have a blood test. So I go downstairs. The nurse there sticks the needle in my arm, Can't get any blood out of it, and
Because you're undead.
apparently so. Then she sticks me in the other arm, and she's a fucking butcher as well. That woman has not been to one nursing class. She's never stuck a fucking needle in the vein of live birth in her life. I'll send you the picture. In fact, I'll upload it to Facebook so you can see.
Please do.
I'm not exaggerating. I look like I've been assaulted. It's that fucking bad on one arm.
I shouldn't be laughing, but I can't help.
No, I know, it's just the way I tell things. And I'm bruised on the other one where she couldn't get any blood out, and it's still fucking bruised. So but then they take the blood work and everything, and they say, oh, you need to go for an x-ray, don't you? I was like, yeah. So she said, oh, you can just take your blood work with you. Like, fucking great. So now I'm your fucking delivery service.
Yeah, I'm doing your job too.
So she says, well, they won't be around to collect it for half an hour, and it'll take longer to get there, and it's just easier if they have the blood work with the x-ray so they can do it together. So just take this down to pathology. I'm like, yeah, fucking great, thanks. So again, no painkillers, apart from the ones that I've been taking. I then walk from my doctor's to the hospital, which luckily is only about a 10-minute walk, which took me 20 minutes because I was wheezing and in pain. Get to the doctor's, walk all fucking around the hospital looking for pathology, drop my blood work off. They look at me like I'm insane because I'm just turning up in like jeans, purple hair, big old gothy coat. Like, yeah, I'm just here to drop off my blood work. I look like I should be there to pick up blood work. So I drop it off, and then I have to go find main X-ray. So I'll go find main X-ray, and I said to this woman, I was like, I've been told I need to come get an X-ray. And I just like hand over my piece of paper. She says, okay, yeah, just first on you out. Doesn't tell me if there's a waiting list, doesn't tell me how any of this works. So I just walk around the corners. A couple of people sat there already. So I sit down and wait my turn. There's no ticket service. There's nobody around to say, okay, right, you've just arrived. Thanks very much. We'll be with you in 20 minutes or whatever. There was none of that. It was just people walking past and then calling names. The waiting room in Beetlejuice is better fucking organised.
At least they get tickets.
Exactly. Because I've not really had a lot of sleep because of the pain. I sort of started to nod off. Yeah. So I'm there, no makeup, like pale face, red eyes, purple hair. I look like a drug addict, basically. I look like someone that's just walked in off the street looking for somewhere warm to sit. There's 4 doors that lead into 4 individual changing areas. Yeah. So they're like properly walled in and everything. So I'm in there, get into my gown because it has to be a chest x-ray. So there's 2 doors, one to your left and one to your right. So one door that you come in leads from the waiting room, and then the other door that you go through leads into the x-ray room.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's 4 individual doors, like fucking blind date.
So it's still a black surprise.
It's a surprise, it's a blood clot, you're dead. So I go out and she like presses me up against this the x-ray, and she's like, okay, can you put your hands on your hips like this? So my hands are on my hips with the palms of my hands touching my hips. So I was kind of doing some kind of like duck impression, and then I had to like lean myself forward and then kind of angle my chest right up against it and like squat my knees slightly and have my chin on and then she said to me, is that comfortable? I'm like, fucking no, I'm here for a chest x-ray, because I didn't say, this is all in my head. I was like, yeah, of course I am. Thinking, no, you fucking no, do I look comfortable? I look like I'm trying to take a shit.
It actually sounds like when prisoners in prison, when the police suspect them of concealing a mobile phone, they get them to do that position.
Yeah,
and they squat. Yeah,
if she'd been stood behind me, like slapping on a latex glove, I would not have been surprised by that noise.
Yeah.
So I get the X-ray done. She says, "Oh, okay, thanks very much. You should have the results back in a week." And I'm like, "So I've been sent to the hospital to get an x-ray to see if I have a blood clot somewhere either in my lung or in my ribs. Doctor didn't give me any painkillers. I had to fucking walk my own blood work up here. I've had to wait for an hour, almost fall asleep. You've put me in the most uncomfortable standing positions possible, and then you tell me you'll get it back in a week. Oh, I could be fucking dead by then. What was the point of me coming here?"
That's really bad. Usually when you have x-rays, when I've been, all of the times I've been to A&E to have an x-ray.
All the time.
Yeah, because I've been many times, honestly. I always get my x-ray there and then. That's generally what they do. You have your x-ray and then you go back to the whatever ward you were sent from, and then they have a look at your x-ray and they talk you through it and say, this and that is wrong, or no, it's not broken, then you're fine and you're good to go.
Yeah,
you never have to wait for a week.
No, I don't know what the fuck's going on. So then I came home, dosed myself up with more painkillers. That was Wednesday afternoon. Thursday, I was on painkillers. Friday, I was much better, so I didn't go into work.
Oh, crap. That's why you were off from work.
Yes. I didn't want to tell you, because I wanted you to be surprised.
And I was.
You
Clearly.
were. And the one problem with having so many painkillers in these Paramol was that not only was it great for relieving my pain, but because I had to take so many to dull the pain, it made me nauseous and made me sick.
Oh no, that's terrible.
And it also backed me up.
Oh.
So I was then constipated for 2 days.
Oh my god, that must have been like shitting a brick.
It was making my bum bleed, pushing them out.
You should have put a bit of Vaseline.
I don't think anything would have done it. I think I would have just needed to get some like pincers up there and just like stretch my bum out. But I'm finally pooing normally again, and the pain's gone, and I don't feel sick.
Yay, that's good news.
Things are better.
Yeah,
things are better. That was my hilarious trip up to the doctors.
Oh my god.
And there's you nagging at. She's fucking nagging at me. Oh, can you do this? You got to do that with a podcast. You got to do this.
No,
and I'm like, I'm off fucking.
Don't make me sound like the nagging one out of the two of us. That is a lie. I just said, hey, we've got to have the clip ready by, Sunday, because that's generally when we upload the podcast. We upload them on Sunday. And all you said is that you've been home since Wednesday. And I thought, oh, okay. Bit odd, because Cass is never off from work unless she's dying, or she has to go out and hunt and be a creature of the night to get her blood supply.
Yes, which I'm sure the local hospital is expecting me to go back there after midnight.
Yeah, with more blood work.
Fucking crazy. So yeah, I think my trips to the hospital are much more amusing than yours.
Oh yeah, completely. Mine are mine would be if the listener were a friend in person. Which they are a friend, but I can't see them, and neither can you.
No.
And I was telling them about this story, they'd just facepalm and just shake their head at me because it happens so often. They just stop caring, they just get desensitized to it.
We're just like, oh, again? You went at the hospital again?
Exactly, which is what everybody's response is. Everybody in my family, my friends, are like, really? Okay. Or they'll just text me randomly one day saying, so how many times have you been to A&E this week?
And it's usually, yeah, two to three.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, no. I'm waiting a week. They actually told me when I went to the hospital again because, FYI, I had another accident. And I fell going up the stairs this time. Same pinky that was damaged. Anyway, went to the hospital, went to A&E. And they actually told me that they have a, what would you call it? They have a list of frequents, basically. So people they have in every other day.
Is this like a list for social services?
No, just a list in general that they have amongst themselves. I think they must do it for fun. They need entertainment.
Do you think they put bets on
yeah,
going to be coming back? Oh yeah,
Khadija,
she'll be coming back.
Yeah, I'll put a $5 on her. She'll be back next Sunday again.
Yeah, payout.
They've got like a pool going. Pool of money.
I reckon that they don't allow your name to be on the list anymore, or they're not allowed to take bets on it because it's just cash cow.
Well, it's guaranteed funds.
You're funding the NHS.
Yeah, I am. I'm doing good work. I am single-handedly funding the NHS.
Single pinkily.
Yeah, single pinkily. But no, she did tell me that I haven't made the list yet, which is a good thing because I don't want to.
I don't know. Making the list that's like the cool list.
No, there was a guy there when I went last Sunday, and he was just completely bladdered. He was so drunk he could barely stand up, and so security had to come, which was quite amusing.
Did they have to throw him out? You see that? I'm surprised security didn't follow me round.
Yes, this is true. Like you were gonna sell the blood on the black market or something.
On the vampire market.
Yeah.
Selling it to teenagers who think they're vampires because they've watched Twilight too many times.
They've watched Twilight too many times.
And cover themselves in fucking glitter spray.
Yeah.
Which, if you've seen Twilight, you'll get the reference.
Yeah. I do get the reference. I quite like the movie, just for what it is.
Yes. Swiftly moving on from that awful topic.
Please do.
I was in work today. I said that I would cover the Sunday shift, which was amusing because the first couple of hours was all faith stuff. And on a sideline, this guy he'd got leukemia or cancer.
Oh, no.
And his son had the previous year died from a brain tumour. But, he still believed, good Christian, holding his book and holding his crucifix. I'm like, really? What the fuck? Anyway, that aside, one of the guys that I work with, who I've worked with now since November, for some reason had never heard my surname be said, or if he had, he'd forgotten it, because my surname is Ho. It's spelled H-O-E. But he sat next to me and said, really gingerly, is your surname How? And I just slowly, because we sat on swivel chairs, I just slowly turned to him and said, "You do know it's HOE?" And he said, "Yeah. Is it pronounced?" I said, "No. I said, how would you want to pronounce it?" And then he looked at me and said, "There is a way I want to pronounce it, but I don't know if it's the right way." I said, "Well, let me narrow it down."